Of course, we were trying to make contact with Richard Hirsch, standing by at the JSE, but now Paul Theron has entered.
Don't worry about Richard Hirsch. His opinions are overrated.
Come on, don't say that. That's horrible. Paul, okay, ArcelorMittal, it's up 2%. Yes. Just at 5 minutes past 5, a news filtering through with regards to the Newcastle operations and also withdrawing its cautionary.
So clarify the Newcastle announcement. We knew that they had this major blow-up.
The failure there, essentially.
And there is an expense of that amount. Does it seem clear to you, I haven't read the statement, that they're going to get some of that back from their insurers?
I'm not really sure. I just saw the headlines. Unfortunately, it's just headlines at this point and not a full story, but we know that the full deductible amount will be around $48 million.
Although,
so
as you know, with insurers, even if you feel you're fully covered, if you plant your car into a wall, chances are there's an excess payment required. So that's not a net positive for them. The BEE deal, I think, is also interesting because remember, that's the one, I think, with the, what's that company called? Island View Securities, you know, ICT, Imperial Crown Trading, that's right. So that's the one where apparently they're getting some access to the mineral rights. So that could be significant because if they're canning that, it probably means that they're not anticipating winning the legal scrap that's going on there, although that's probably premature. So all things considered, I mean, not necessarily a positive for them, but at $58, you'd have to say, you know, 2% up on the day is merely a recovery from a terrible slump in the share price.
I remember it when it was at 90.
Slightly less terrible, exactly.
I remember it when it was at 90 Rand a share, and we were worried when it dropped down to 70. Is it offering value at this point, Paul?
Well, look, it's really a proxy for the global steel market, and we know that there's all this negativity out there about China slowing down. Personally, I think it's all rubbish. China is not slowing down. If anything, it's likely to speed up. So I would say there is. But on balance, if you're looking for a China proxy, I think there are much, much more sensible ones like Billiton and Richemont than ArcelorMittal.
Okay, Billiton and Richemont have actually been coming under pressure, in fact. And also, copper has now plunged to below $8,000
it's crazy out there. It's totally crazy out there. I mean, there's no sense in any respect to what's going on with trades in the commodity market. I mean, you've seen what's been happening with silver and with gold. I don't know, when you hear about commodities selling off because they raised the margin requirements in the futures exchange, then you know you're dealing with frothy, you know, speculative activity because, you know, clearly if people that are being, you know, out of trades because the margins went up, it's not exactly a recommendation for holding the stuff. But you know,
they did that a while ago. The margin requirements were raised at CME, at COMEX and the Shanghai Gold Exchange
and I think
over a month ago, in fact.
But over the weekend, there was another one, I think, raised on silver somewhere or another.
Okay, but silver, they constantly do that to try and get the froth out of the market. We know that has actually been happening since the 80s. But, I mean, how can you tell between speculation and the flows within the market?
You never can.
I mean,
you never can.
Is this speculation, is this speculative money just now flowing elsewhere?
Well, either that or it's, you know, flowing out in order to pay for the liquidation bonuses of the hedge funds concerned. So, you know, who knows? All I can tell you is that you don't own commodities unless you're in the business of refining or processing or working the commodity, unless you're some kind of speculator. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really interested in commodities that are prone to speculation. I'm quite interested in watching copper because it is a, you know, proxy for, and it leads into the margins of the commodity companies.
But West now delving further into Namibia, we know that they've already had a presence there, and interesting that they're starting to acquire these tiny companies, something that they do.
Namibia is a fine nation. Look, it hasn't been the best Rugby World Cup for the Namibians, but you know, there are 2 million people up there trying hard. It's a very small and irrelevant economy. But you know, we love Namibians. Great biltong in Namibia as well.
We actually opened a bureau there. We started teaming up with the company. So it's not a small and irrelevant economy, actually, Paul. But I mean, Africa is where the money is right now. Is that the right assumption to make? And the companies have done well. I mean, Tiger Brands today. We saw Shoprite outperforming. Truworths doing quite well. It seems as industrial stocks seem to be gaining favour.
Yeah, look, I mean, we know those stocks are relatively expensive in terms of historic valuations, but there's a lot to like in that space. I haven't been following, you know, what the latest moves have been of some of these retailers and industrials, but overall they've been volatile with the rest of the market as well. So if you've got a target price for those, makes sense to be nibbling away, I'm sure.
So what exposure do you have to which stock that is making you cry right now?
Well, Billiton, I'm gutted that it's trading below 220. I don't know where it's closed now. But it remains for me the single most crazy...
Down 3.35%.
I mean, really, what is that about?
216 Rand.
Although I understand that it is a lot to do with the currency.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, I saw that the currency went back below 8 today, and I had a sense to the dollar, that is, and I had a sense that once that happened, that could start feeding on itself. But now I see that it's gone back to 8.10 or somewhere thereabouts. I mean, that's just the other side of the equation. Crazy, crazy moves in the currency. I've got no idea what that's supposed to be about. I don't know. I just think we all just need to keep our heads down and try and keep our wits about us and avoid making any stupid big moves in a market like this.